Dan, you really got to get out of the pool. You're going to be all pruny, and then I have to hear you whine about it.
No.
Dan.
No. I have to learn how to breathe underwater.
That isn't something you just learn.
I'll adapt.
You can't adapt to breathing underwater. That isn't how it works.
Look how long I can hold my breath for.
Dan, that wasn't even a full 10 seconds.
Whatever. I can still talk to fish.
Dan, there's no way you can... Holy free Willy, you just summoned a whale.
Hey, you know what they say.
Actually, I don't.
When you're hanging out with Dan, you're in for a whale of a time.
No one says that.
Don't be such a damper.
I hate you. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Super Sons.
Hey, that wasn't Mike. If you couldn't figure, fuck, you're Mike. That wasn't Jake. Jake is being replaced this week by you because Jake's out for an emergency.
And I am not cutting that.
No,
I'm not cutting that you messed that up.
That's fine. It's fine. That's just, yeah. It's been a very long day.
Yes, it has. For everybody. I'm sure for everybody listening. This will be your hour of escapism for the week.
Yeah. We're recording on I would say the big day for us, at least. Like the day where it all kind of feels real for the... Yeah. But let's not get into that. Let's stick into the DC universe where nothing bad ever happens to anyone. Especially if you're a Robin.
Martha.
Why did you say that name? So we were going to do another character, but Jake had to step out for this episode. So I actually put it to a Twitter poll for a few different options, and Aquaman beat out Poison Ivy by 1 vote. So we're covering Aquaman this week. We may do that in the future just because it's fun to have you, the listeners, decide. And Aquaman won, so I'm happy. We're covering the Justice League 2-parter, The Enemy Below, which is Season 1, Episodes 6 and 7. So we've already gone over Aquaman's origin way back when, one of the first couple episodes. So we won't get into that too much here. In this universe, he is established as the king, and we don't get to see any of his backstory. We just accept that he is king.
Yep.
And Mike, what is your background with Justice League?
The cartoon?
Yes.
Just that. I mean, just as a kid, just coming home after school and watching whatever episode Cartoon Network had on. And I know for a fact there's ones that I caught more than others, like reruns, like multiple times, and then ones that I totally missed. So, for example, when Jake and I covered the Booster Gold episode, I had never seen that one before. Mm-hmm. I have no memory of seeing it before. But boy, was it fun.
Yeah, that is Booster Gold is a great character.
It is so surprising to me. Like, it was, again, watching these 2 episodes, just so surprising to me how well it holds up. And not to say that, they're just like a lot of these older superhero cartoons, there's times where the voice acting's a little cheesy, or the one big thing I noticed with watching older animated shows is, and maybe it's from doing audio on this show, it's like the sound is dead all the time. Like there's nothing going on in the background. Like I feel like in cartoons nowadays, everything's so noisy all the time. And I know it's like an attention span thing, they're trying to keep the attention of kids, but there were scenes in this, dialogue scenes, where people were talking, and just for large periods of time, it's like you just get those 2 or 3 voices and that's it. Like there's not a lot of ambient noise in the background or silly sound effects or anything like that, which is, part and parcel with the tone of the show. It's not, it's supposed to be goofy, but yeah, it was just, even with that stuff, I'm still surprised how well it holds up and just how much enjoyment I still got out of it. And again, this week of all weeks, like watching it, I was like, wow, I needed that 40 minutes, you know what I mean? Or 45 minutes to just get away and just like feel like a kid again and just, you know, reclaim some of that childhood innocence. So that was fun.
I think, especially with these 2 episodes, this show holds up really well because tonally it was extremely different from other cartoons that weren't Batman the Animated Series.
Right.
So this is sort of a continuation of Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series, but with Justice League Unlimited, it got less, I wouldn't say it got less serious because they pretty much do a much better version of the Watchmen in season 2 of Unlimited.
I need to watch that.
Justice League Unlimited is incredible. Like from start to finish, it is. Oh man, it has one of my favorite cartoon episodes ever, which is Epilogue, where they show the future and Batman Beyond and reveal some really, really big secrets.
Oh wow.
But it's funny because with Booster Gold, there's a lot of like funny parts and things like that. But this episode doesn't. It has funny parts unintentionally, but there's not a lot of comedy, and it's some pretty like.
You're referring to the Aquaman episodes now, not the epilogue that you referenced. Okay.
Correct. So it pushes a really PG-13, like some of the topics and stuff like that are like, whoa.
Yeah.
And it's not so like highbrow that it's not understandable for kids. Like it's broken down enough.
It strikes a really great balance there. Like that was what I kept noticing watching it. I was like, wow, like my daughter Lily, 11 years old, could watch this and get full enjoyment out of it, and not miss anything plot wise. Like it's all simple enough plot wise to understand. But then at the same time, like as an adult, there's things that I'm going to feel that she's not going to feel, at least maybe not for years more of her life. Like obviously we'll get in, you know, Aquaman's child and everything, you know what I mean? Like that's a big deal. Like, and you feel that more as an adult because you're aware of that stuff when you're an adult. So it hits you harder. So
let's get into it. Once again, the episode is Justice League Season 1, Episodes 6 and 7, The Enemy Below. Directed by Dan Reba and written by Kevin Hops.
And I want to give a shout out to the composer on this episode of the music. I'm going to butcher his name, but I think it's Michael McCushion. If I butchered your name, Michael, if you ever listen to this, I'm sorry.
But please come on the show and you can correct us.
Yeah, and gladly come on the show. That'd be great.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, just before we jump in to the plot, I couldn't get over the fact that, and I'm well aware, like working within the limitations of the time, you can kind of hear that some of the orchestration on this episode is like, what do they call them? Sound banks, or it's something along that lines. Like, it's not a real orchestra. It's too expensive to do that for. No, not canned, but there's a phrase for it, and I'm getting it wrong, but it's when you use like MIDI orchestra basically, but you're using, I'm blanking on the term, it doesn't matter. But even that aside, there were moments in this episode that I'll come back to later that like would give me chills, like with the music and how fun it was. And I just loved the orchestration, and it was just, I could rave about the music in DC Comics cartoons in general for a long time. Not to mention that the theme song of this show, written by Lolita Ritmanis, if I'm saying her name right, is just freaking one of the most killer superhero TV show themes ever. Like I'll just turn that stuff on my car like every other week. I'm just like, I want to listen to the Justice League theme because it sounds so good, even though it's like a minute long. And
I like the Unlimited one even more just because it's like,
it's pent up.
Yeah, it like breaks out.
Oh, yeah. They're both great in their own separate ways, because Justice League Unlimited is like a rock concert, and it's like the electric guitar and everything.
It's funny because like even though they're kids shows, the themes fit what they're like talking about. Like the Justice League Unlimited is a much bigger cast, a lot of different stories, a lot of different tones and things like that from episode to episode. But Justice League itself is a pretty serious show. Like there's a lot of like really good character moments and things like that. I honestly think, depending on the day, I think I like Justice League more than I like Batman the Animated Series, just because it's not just Batman. And
there's more variety in the stories I can tell.
Yeah, and the only thing that I will always give Batman the Animated Series over this is like the villain episodes are still
Yes.
Like you can't even, there's no candle you can hold that will burn as bright as the Mr. Freeze episode.
Oh no, that I still can't believe to this day at 29 years old going on 30 in May that an episode of a children's cartoon from the early 90s, and I say children's cartoon knowing full, it's not it's way more. Batman the Animated Series is so much more than a children's cartoon. I don't want to cut it short there, but still amazed that at this age I can watch that episode and it legitimately brings me to tears.
Yeah.
Like no joke. I feel every bit of why he does what he does, and it makes his story so much more tragic. I love that episode.
Yeah. The Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, like just working together in general has always been, like unstoppable. Like,
oh yeah.
I don't think Denny worked on any of the Justice League or anything like that, but it's still got like his tone.
Oh, his influence was apparent. Yeah.
So let's get to the actual story. So Part 1. A United States submarine strays too close to a mysterious Atlantean armada that swiftly sinks the submarine to the seafloor. The Justice League stages a rescue where they encounter Aquaman for the first time. So in this show, Aquaman wasn't one of the main members of the Justice League. He appears in this episode, and then he doesn't appear till close to the end of season 2. So he was never
That's wild.
Yeah, he was a bigger character in Unlimited when they like fight the Super Friends, which is a great episode.
Was it the same voice actor in Unlimited? Do you know?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Because I liked him a lot in this episode. Like, I hadn't heard that voice in a long time, and I was like, wow, this guy's voice is awesome for this character.
So, Aquaman allows them to rescue the crew of the ship, but he's like, well, I'm keeping the submarine. Green Lantern argues that, and he's like, whoa, there's like a nuclear weapon on there.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah. Aquaman looks him dead in the eyes and he's go, no. But Superman is like, no, John, let's save the people and maybe he won't attack us.
Right.
Superman starts
priorities.
Superman tells Aquaman that he should come to the surface to air laugh track.
I'm actually going to insert a laugh track.
Good. To air his grievances, which Aquaman takes into consideration. So Aquaman's just generally pissed off at the surface for polluting the ocean and just generally being bad. Can't really blame him. Aquaman returns to Atlantis to discuss the whole situation with the head of the military, General Brack, and his half-brother, Orm, who we all know by now would never do anything to hurt his brother. Never.
Why would he do that?
I have no idea. It's not like there's a major motion picture about it or anything.
Yeah.
Both of his advisors say it's probably just easier to wipe out the surface dwellers with their superior firepower and tech. Aquaman's like, it's a little bit hasty. And he goes to consult his wife, Mira, and he looks upon their son. Once he's looking at his son, he starts to think about how he actually just wants peace with the surface. So they stop polluting his home. He wants to live in harmony and not really fight. It's not who he is. So Aquaman goes to the UN. He literally walks out of the ocean onto the beach like it's no big deal. All these people
like around a bunch of surfers and like
he legit just walks out of the ocean and just keeps going, and everyone's like, okay.
That was a guy.
Yeah. So he goes to the UN to peacefully discuss the issue. Just kidding though, because his anger gets the best of him and he just starts arguing with them. They're like, all right, dude, you're being kind of unreasonable. You also just stormed in here. Aquaman then storms out, and Superman's trying to convince him to just like take a breather and calm down. So
Doesn't he pushes Wonder Woman like really hard.
Yeah. Aquaman is...
That's like rude.
Yeah.
Like
he pushes her out of the way because she's like trying to stand in front of him, which we learn is not a good thing to do later.
Right.
So Superman's basically like, all right, Aquaman, like relax. We can figure this out. I'll help you. Just then, a mysterious assassin with a sniper rifle rocket launcher shoots a rocket at him and puts him in critical condition.
I dubbed this guy in my head Rocket Man because they never named him. I just dubbed him Rocket Man because he just kept firing rockets in this episode. Like I was hearing Elton John in my head, like as I was watching the show.
Rocket Man. So It's kind of funny in the hospital because Aquaman's laying in the hospital bed and the doctors are trying to operate on him. And like all their tools are breaking and they're like, oh no, what are we going to do? And Batman's like, hold on, I've got it. And Batman just built a fish tank in the hospital and filled it with salt water. And
in like what, 10 seconds flat? Like how did he do that?
He just popped a full fish tank out of his pocket and was like, all right, prepped for this.
Yeah.
And then
he's like, eat this, Iron Man suitcase suit.
I've got a full fish tank.
With 3.5% saline solution
Yeah,
water.
the doctor's like, why that? And it's like, come on, dude. His name is Aquaman. Where do you think he lives? Medical school.
You know what this episode made me realize is that the easiest way to make Batman seem really smart is to make everybody else idiots.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you may be a new hire at DC Comics. So, once Orm hears about the attack, he kind of tries to be like, oh no, Mira, like, oh no, like pats her on the back. But then he quickly slips into Aquaman's crown and takes his trident. So he's taking over Atlantis.
He's the captain now.
Yeah, he's the captain now. To catch the would-be assassin, the League does the old bait and switch with John pretending to be Aquaman to lure out the assassin.
You know what's funny about this? Is that when this whole sequence happened, like I was like, of all the characters in the Justice League when I was a kid, like I loved Martian Manhunter. And I was watching this scene and I knew that like, obviously there was some plan going on. You know, they were trying to fool Rocket Man. But some part of my brain didn't even consider the fact that it could just be Martian Manhunter lying on the...
They got you. They pulled the wool over your eyes.
Yeah, they literally did. I was like when he like turned back into Martian Manhunter, I'm like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Like I was like, I can't believe I didn't realize that.
You jumped up from the couch and screamed at the TV.
What?
How'd they do that?
Wait, what do you mean it's Martian Manhunter?
You ran into Lily's room, shook her awake. Lily, come here. Come here. I need you to see the scene. Dad needs help.
Did I just turn into Rick Sanchez? Lily, come here. I gotta show you this scene.
Can't remember where I was. Oh. Green Lantern tries to stop Aquaman from leaving the hospital. Basically, they're trying to keep him there so they can try to figure out the whole situation. Aquaman, being the calm, collected, level-headed individual that he is, cold cocks him into a little nap time.
Sucker.
Yeah, he just socks him and Green Lantern hits the floor.
Sucker punches him in the jaw. Like.
Yeah. And it's like, he just knocked out one of the space police. So
Can we talk about the great slow-mo fall to the floor when he gets hit? He like floats in the air for a good like 7 seconds. So I was like, oh.
Hit him so hard it stopped time.
Hit him so hard he popped out of his spandex. Like, the ring falls off.
So once the league captures the assassin, he just
once the League captures the assassin. Wait, that's our other podcast.
It's just Rocket Man with the sash on. So it's actually Deadshot. I don't know if you knew this.
No.
Yeah, that's Deadshot.
That's Deadshot?
That's what he looks like, and he's pretty comic accurate there.
Oh, okay.
It is Deadshot.
Yeah, he's never looked like that to me.
We don't get to see his sweet stash. The League tries to figure out who put the hit out on him. Everyone's like questioning Deadshot, like, oh, why'd you do this? And Batman's like, hold on, let me handle it. So Batman takes him off to the side and whispers something to him, which makes him squeal. He said he was paid in Spanish doubloons or gold doubloons, which, if my research checks out, is pirate money. So it is definitely Orm who did this. Mike, what do you know about Deadshot?
Oh, God, not much.
All right, so you've seen the Suicide Squad, the Oscar award-winning Suicide Squad, sorry.
Yes, the Oscar award-winning Suicide Squad.
What do you think Batman said to Floyd Layton to make him give up that information?
See, here's the thing. I've seen Suicide Squad once.
That's it? So, one time?
Yeah, I don't think I ever rewatched it.
You don't remember what Will Smith's motivation was from the Oscar award-winning Suicide Squad?
No.
Come on. Batman has a great scene where he flies down into the alley. Come on, you
What is
got
he-
this.
Yeah,
You got
I
this.
remember Batman flying down into the alley and he's with his daughter, right?
And
I can't remember.
how does Waller influence him to be on the Suicide Squad? What does she bargain him with?
I'm just lost.
His daughter. Batman probably said something about his daughter to him.
Oh.
Batman's not that scary. He just has a lot of like information and he holds that over people's heads to get what he wants.
Yeah.
So Aquaman arrives back in Atlantis to find Orm sitting
Sorry
in
for
his throne.
disappointing you on that, by the way.
No, it's fine.
You used to it?
Yeah, I'm used to it. So Aquaman arrives back to find his brother sitting on his throne. Turns out Orm is sick of his shit and tolerating the surface dwellers. So the entire military turns on him as the episode goes to black. Before you start part 2,
We can talk about those sheep and how they just fucking turned on their king like in half a second.
yeah.
Can we talk about that? Like,
Oh yeah, we're with Orm now. Orm's our
God,
best friend.
that was quick. Like,
Do they call him Ocean Master at all, or they just call him Orm?
no, I think they just. I feel like the term Ocean Master was in the episode somewhere.
Yeah, it probably was. Probably not,
But maybe
like a fun little Easter egg.
Yeah,
for the
but-
nerds out there.
but I just can't get over how quick. Like, what propaganda was Orm able to spin in like the 2 hours that he had or something? You know what I mean? Like, it was so quick.
The Atlanteans are xenophobic, like very.
Yeah.
So they
yeah.
will chastise people. Like they'll
chastise.
They'll literally throw you out for anything. Like Garth, Aqualad has purple eyes, which is quote unquote a curse to their people. So they like banish him. They're not nice people. They're just generally awful.
Jeez.
And Aquaman tries to change that a lot, but usually the stories are about how the Atlanteans aren't the best.
Yeah.
But in the recap for episode 1, shown at the beginning of episode 2, there's like this really quick cut of like another scene, and then all it is Batman holding the gold, and he goes, "Gold doubloons," and it just goes to the next scene. Like,
I didn't watch the recap because
Yeah.
I figured I just saw everything. But
yeah, gold doubloons, and I was like, what? Like, if I had not had seen the first episode, I'd be
like
so
nonsensical
confused.
cut is what you're
Yeah.
saying that
Yeah,
like
it's
just
like-
didn't need to be there.
Okay. Yeah, but here you go, part 2 with Mike.
Oh boy. So the League goes to Atlantis, where they are ambushed by Brack's soldiers. They're captured using power dampeners, which make them helpless. Orm puts them in a room that fills with water because why not? Water seems to be an abundant resource in this area. Yeah, I remember watching this part and then going, wait, did they plan to get captured? Or are they just this stupid?
They're just incompetent. Justice League just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Well,
So
having power dampeners of that level to be able to stop a lantern ring, Wonder
Yeah.
Woman, a goddess, Superman, literally Superman.
Yeah.
So Atlantis has super advanced tech because when they sank, they were the most advanced city in the world, and then they didn't have Catholicism, which pretty much halted progression for a very long time.
spitting fire on this podcast. Granted, it's like
Whoops.
2,000-year-old overdue fire, but
Yeah. It's fine. I'll just pay for what are those things that Martin Luther fought against?
oh god, I don't
Where
know.
I could
I'm
pay
not a
to
history
get into
buff.
heaven. What are they called? Basically, Martin Luther
Like
wrote.
the evangelist,
No.
Oh.
The Catholics were selling.
the TV evangelist crap. That's what I mean, by the way, just to specify.
Yeah. They were trying to sell. Whatever. It led to Martin Luther's 99 Thesis that he went and nailed to the doors of all these churches because he's a badass. Continue. Sorry. A little religion lesson for you.
Yeah.
What the fuck are they called? Indulgences. That's what they're called. Indulgences. You buy an indulgence to get into heaven.
Okay. Let's get back on topic. Mira. I heard them say Mira in this episode.
Mira.
Is it Mira? Okay. I'm not my lack of street cred will always be apparent on this show.
No, it's fine. I think
But that's the point.
I probably mispronounced Mira too, but it's my cat's name, so I'm just going to say it however the hell I want.
Right. So Miera springs to action and knocks out the guards, rescuing the League. She believes her husband's alive. Orm has Aquaman chained to a rock elsewhere in the sea above a lava fissure. Orm shows up and reveals his plan. He's got me monologuing to ensure that there is no other claim to the throne but him. He shows Aquaman that he has his son. They legit call him Aquababy back in the day. It's Arthur Jr. Yeah, this was like this scene pissed me off. Because I just hate anything where people leverage children. Like it's that's like such a messed up. Ugh. So Orm uses a knife to fasten the child to the rock. That's Aquaman's child, not Baby Yoda. And he sends them sliding down toward the lava, like while they're still attached to this giant rock. And Aquaman's only able to break one hand free, but can't reach his son. So he uses his fucking emblem belt to cut off his own goddamn hand to save his son.
Yeah, this scene. Let's talk. Well, let me just tell you the side note first, and then we can talk about this moment. So in the comics, there's a very similar story back in. It's the death of Aquabit, Arthur Jr. It's sitting on my shelf. I can't grab it right now, but
it's okay.
I want to say late 70s, early 80s, or maybe early 70s. But Black Manta legit suffocates Aquababy and kills him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, after that point, other villains literally don't want to work with him because they're like, yeah, you killed a kid. You're a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's like the stories you hear about, like when somebody goes to prison and they still get messed up because.
Yeah. He cuts his own hand off, which is like real hardcore, but it makes sense because like that's his baby.
Oh yeah. That's the kind of stuff I was talking about earlier that when I saw it, I was like, I don't know exactly what he was feeling. I've never been falling into a lava fissure in the middle of the ocean and had to save my child by cutting off my own arm.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. But no, I mean, I it's like I watched something like that. I'm like, God, yeah, I'd do the same exact thing. You know what I mean? Like, what else would there be to do? But nobody wants to have to make that kind of choice. That's a horrible thing.
It's
my God.
What is it? The 127 hours the guy cuts his own hand off because he's stuck in the
Franco.
rock. Yeah, it's really sad that happened to James Franco.
Yeah.
Wish it was Dave the lesser. No, you know what? I like Dave more.
I was going to say I like Dave more too.
I'm glad it happened. I'm glad that James Franco went through that.
He's one of the bright spots of the extra season of Scrubs.
What extra season of Scrubs?
Oh, wait. Yeah. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Let's get back to Justice League. So Aquaman returns to the throne room where everyone sees what's happened. It's one of those Aquaman doesn't play around moments. They give him a prosthetic hook hand.
So in the 90s, Peter David gave Aquaman a hook hand. Growing up, I really hated the hook hand Aquaman look. I think they used to call him the Barbarian Aquaman. But growing up now,
I just got that image in my head of the comic art that you showed me once. Yeah.
Yep. So I actually love it. Like, I think it's such a cool look because he's like a lot more sad. Like he looks like, it's kind of like Conan the Barbarian. He's like a badass. Yeah. And especially now, like with that, I have Jason Momoa in my mind with Aquaman. Like, how cool would he look with a hook hand?
Oh yeah. I could see that.
Yeah. It also,
or if he got like real skinny and like had partially bald head and a slide guitar, that'd be cool, right?
No, that wouldn't give me nightmares at all. It also, he can use it as a grappling hook and a spear gun, so he can launch it off. And recently we were at the mall. So Lego is doing this thing where they have these like mystery pack minifigures. And
that's fun.
You know, I love the thrill of those things. So recently Scarlett and I were at Michael's getting her some, it's sitting in the corner over here. Basically it's like
wait, when were you guys here? That's probably the 70th time I've used that joke in my life.
That is pretty good.
I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it.
First time I've heard it. So yeah, it's like this, I don't know, it's called a cricket and it cuts stuff. It's a teacher thing, but I ended up buying 6 bags of these things. Fast forward, Jake and I were at the mall and he bought a bunch. And I was like, listen, if you get the Aquaman, I'll just give you money and you can go buy more. So he did,
Right.
and he got Aquaman, and then he went back to the Lego store and was talking to one of the people there. They're like, oh, what character do you want? We can just get it for you. And he was like, wait, what? And he goes, they're like, yeah, we have them sorted in the back because we just kind of stand around here all day.
Reasons or
No. Like they felt the bags and could tell which characters were which, and then they organized them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, which is like totally gaming the loot box system, which is the best form of capitalism.
That's also like a sad story of the state of toy stores, that's how much time the employees have on their hands.
Yeah. But now I have Mr. Miracle, Superman, Batman. I got a bunch of cool little ones. And the problem is like the one sits on my desk at work, the Aquaman one, and Mr. Miracle is on my bookshelf.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the Mitch Gerard's design too.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Back to the story.
Yeah. So Orm escapes to a weapon Aquaman built as a last resort at the North Pole. The device will melt the polar ice caps and flood the Earth, which is like super fast global warming machine. Now they'll believe it. So, and this is powered by was it plutonium that he stole from the submarine earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the League battles the Atlanteans that have now followed Orm as Aquaman fights his brother in combat, Orm using his trident and Aquaman using his hook. Their battles destroy the controls to the machine and damages the ice around them. Orm eventually ends up dangling off the edge of the ice in a cavern, like an icy cavern.
Yeah, it's like it's just a bottomless pit.
Yeah. Like within one of the icebergs, the
sure.
glaciers, I should say.
It's just hollow. Hollow Earth.
Right. So Orm's holding on for his life and begging Aquaman to help him up, his brother. Aquaman picks up his trident and says, I believe this is mine. And yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of lets him fall to his death.
Yeah.
Brutal. With the scene, Aquaman has like this, he's got a deep-seated anger to him. And sometimes,
he really does.
And sometimes he gets the best of him. But like he'll do anything to protect the people he cares about. He also, one thing about Aquaman is that he's got a very deep anger, and sometimes it comes out and he has to learn to manage it. Number two is that he's actually best friends with John Jones. I don't know if it's still a thing, but they like bonded over the loss of their children, and like they understand each other's pain. So they, yeah, they're like really close.
So is that not the John Jones part, but his personality of having that deep-seated anger, is that also true within the comics history?
Yes. So it depends on who's writing him, but Peter David shows it pretty well in his runs. I want to say the Sub Diego era, where half of San Diego like sunk in the ocean and he has to like rule it. He had a lot of those. Like I remember, it's been a while since I read this run, but either he imagines himself fighting Superman or he does fight Superman, and like there's a picture of him like holding down Superman's face, but like, oh no, it's imaginary because John's showing it to him or something along those lines.
Okay.
If you're listening to this and want to correct me, please do.
I'm very curious because an Aquaman 2 movie is coming, right?
Yeah. Well, in the movie, you can
get
see
into
it
that
too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like in the first movie, I saw it a little bit, so I'm wondering if they would dig into that more in the second at all.
I think he talks about it when they're on the boat. He's like, he was just angry because he didn't know his place.
Right.
And I think that's what
right.
it is. He's the outsider. And it's the idea that he's stuck between two worlds and can't really fit into either, but all he wants to do is save both of them. So it's like a lot for him.
Right.
But yeah.
He's literally got the whole weight of the world on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. Not literally, but kind of literally. So anyway, Batman goes into the device protected by the lantern ring and shuts it off. I think I remember Green Lantern saying, "You did it." And then Batman goes, "No, we did it." I was like, oh, that's nice.
Thanks, Batman.
Not me, us. What? Jeez, the world is just invading the show tonight. Aquaman orders that Brack and his men are to be locked up. Isn't that like after Brack is like Sorry, sir, we were just following orders. And he's like, screw you.
Nah.
Yeah. So Aquaman reflects upon his behavior and wants to do better to unite the world and make it a better place for his child. I thought that this episode in particular of the two did actually just both of them. They did such a nice job of using that theme of, because it's a trope, it's been used, but they did it was well executed, using the kind of theme of like, having a child bring peace to the world in some way.
Yeah.
And
that's a trope.
And it works with, like you were just saying, like Aquaman being this person stuck between two worlds that came from a shared parentage like that. So it's like, he sees the value in what a child can bring into the world in a different way. So
yeah, like
awesome.
he has the want to make it a better world where no one feels like they're on the outside.
Right.
So, what was your favorite moment of the episode?
So easy for me. When they're in near the poles, and it's aided so well by the music when he jumps out of the water with the whale, like that sequence, like the just the angle it's shot at, or not shot at, but animated at. Everything about that moment, that was the moment of watching these two. I mean, it happened a lot over these two episodes, but that was like the peak moment where I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm 10 years old again. Like it was just so much fun. Like I literally got chills. I can't remember the last time I was watching like an old 90s cartoon and got chills from it. Like it was just, and I'm not even as big of an Aquaman fan as you are. I like him a lot, but like I'm not you know what I mean? So, but still, it was just one of those moments. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. You're almost drooling. You're like, oh, that's so awesome. Like, like it made me want to see that in the movies at some point, like, Jason Momoa in the full costume, maybe with the hook hand by that point, like, just a similar kind of framing. It was great. I loved that.
Yeah. I'll have to find, there's a cover. So I don't remember what it was, but DC did a bunch of variant covers where it was parodies on films. Oh. And the Aquaman cover is Free Willy. So it's like the whale jumping over him. I have it here somewhere. I just have to find it. That's great. There's a lot of great ones. Like Justice League Dark was Beetlejuice. Batgirl was Purple Rain. There's like a lot of...
Batgirl was Purple Rain? That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll send you. It's awesome.
Oh, I got to see these, yeah.
Yeah. My favorite was probably the Lantern Punch because... So in the Justice League Unlimited, there's an episode where they fight a quote-unquote Super Friends team, like the Hanna-Barbera characters that were created for the show.
Yeah,
They're just kind of relaunched for this universe. And... one of the Wonder Twins is punching Aquaman and he just backhands him. And like, that's the whole fight. And the hand, because the hand is like brutal. It's like,
in my head, when you mentioned the Wonder Twins, like punching Aquaman, I'm just imagining like the Wonder Twins being like Rigby punching Mordecai from regular show, where you just don't see any impact on his shoulder at all, and then Mordecai just hits him and it's got like the biggest punch sound effect in the world, and Rigby's just like, ow.
Another episode I do suggest that you watch is The Terror Beyond. It's later in season 2. It's actually an episode where Aquaman helps Solomon Grundy, and Solomon Grundy is great. So, Mike, what are you reading right now?
I'm still finishing Mr. Miracle that I started like in October.
Yeah.
So I think what happened was I am probably about 75-80% of the way through it. Mm-hmm. And then I think I got my iPad mini. And there was a period of time where it was just so cold in the winter that I just didn't feel like carrying anything extra with me off the train to work. So I was like, I don't feel like having to like have something else in my hands. So I got lazy about bringing it with me. Because that's the train is mainly when I read comics, if I do.
Yeah, my book bag is full of them right now.
Yeah, so if at some point I need to finish that up.
And I am reading for the 4th time over The Plot. Only volume 1. So The Plot is a horror comic from...
Oh, you mentioned this on Twitter.
Yeah, it's from Vault, which is a comic book publisher. they're an indie publisher.
Okay.
And they started like a new Nightfall line, which is like horror stuff. It's written by Tim Daniel, Michael Morikai, and it is drawn by Joshua Hickson, but it's got like, it's beautiful. But I'm reading it for the third time because I'm writing, so first I write for CBR now. I am a real comic journalist. I get paid to write about comics now, which is really cool. So if you're listening to this, you probably have seen this stuff, but I'm writing a piece on it, but I want it to be really good because it's, a topic that is close to me. So I wanted to like read really well because I was the one who pitched it, and like the story is so good and the art is like beautiful.
How does horror work in a comic? I don't think I've ever read a horror comic before.
There's a
like, does it give you that sense of dread? Like,
oh yeah, well yeah, because the stories are usually really good. So I would consider things like Swamp Thing horror comics, but this one deals a lot with mental illness and heritage, and genetics and all that stuff. So it's
gotcha.
Yeah, it's scary because you're like, oh, oof, that's sad.
Yeah.
But it's, and like the art, I don't want to say it reminds me of The Conjuring, but it has the same style of time period and like looks, and the monsters are really well drawn. But I could get into that. Yeah, it's awesome. But
I have 3 notes that I totally forgot to mention about this episode, about these episodes, the Aquaman episodes.
What do you got?
So, there's a scene, I can't remember when it was, where the League and Mira are having a conversation, I think. And it might be when she's saying, my husband's still alive and blah, blah, blah. And she says something about like, some things being worth the sacrifice or something like that. Green Lantern gives the hardest eye roll. Like, he's kind of a dick in these episodes. Like,
I think he would be the most hard ass in the series. He's a military vet, so he's got a lot of stringent practices, but he's a great character. He's just a little bit harder than the rest of them.
Right. Earlier, you mentioned how there wasn't a lot of comedy in this episode. Mm-hmm. There was, and I don't know if this was intentional, but there was the one point when Orm and Aquaman, I think it's when Orm like has his men arrest Aquaman. He says, I think word for word, he says, "The tide is against you." And I was just like, there's one. We had to get a pun.
Got him.
And then speaking of puns, when Aquaman lets Orm die, my only thought was, well, I guess if you're Aquaman, blood isn't thicker than water.
Ooh, that might be a good episode title. Right?
Ooh, you're right.
Right now it is Atlantean Indulgences.
That's not bad either, though. We'll decide.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll figure it out. So you can find us on Twitter at DC Supersons. You can find me on Twitter at Dan the McMahon. Mike, where can they find you?
On Twitter at... No, I'm not going to actually say that on here. Did you just remember now?
Oh.
Now, you can find me on Twitter at GuitarMike526, and that might change at some point, and I'll let people know if it does, but I don't think it's representative of why I'm on Twitter anymore.
Juicy Caboose 69.
There you go.
Actually, see if that one's free. I'll make a Twitter with that.
What was it? Juicy Caboose?
Yeah, Juicy Caboose 69.
Nice.
So that is our episode for this week.
This was a fun watch. I just got to say that.
Oh yeah.
These 2 episodes, they were fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, doing things I know, things where I don't have to. It's television
Dan
shows.
Don't have think too hard.
There you go. Perfect. That's all I needed. Yeah. So catch us in 2 weeks. Same bat time. Same bat channel.
Bye.
All right. Perfect.
That's flawless.
That was so good on the first try.
I was trying to channel Aubrey Plaza on the last two there.